This night could be different, not because you would do something dramatic, not because you would turn into another woman or make yourself into something you are not. It could be different because you will discover that there is a single message, properly formulated at the right moment with the right energy, that can penetrate this man's mind like a seed. But not just any seed, rather one that begins to germinate deep in the subconscious, precisely at the moment when he closes his eyes and shuts out the world, when everything he has suppressed during the day comes to the surface unnoticed, a nightly message. A sentence so loaded with intention, so emotionally precise in its structure, so intimate in the way it works that it can circle in his mind without him knowing why. Maybe he even dreams of you that very night. Maybe he wakes up with an inexplicable need to find you. Maybe he can't stop thinking about you the entire next day without a logical explanation, because desire is not born from logic. Desire is awakened by connection, symbolism, and deliberately applied feminine energy. And that is exactly what we will do today. I will show you how to use the most powerful hours of the day, the night, so that his subconscious begins to remember you, even if he doesn't want to, even if he has distanced himself, even if he is with someone else at this moment. Because what I'm going to show you has nothing to do with manipulation, but with magnetism. With that presence you cannot see but can feel, that does not push itself forward but leaves traces, that is not forced but remains. Listen to me carefully now. It does not matter if this man has been called to you, no longer responds like before, seems distant if his energy has changed, or if you believe you are losing his attention. It does not matter if you feel you have done everything wrong, ruined it, or lost every chance, because what we are going to trigger in him today does not depend on his rational mind. You don't need to convince him, explain, or pressure him. You only need to walk through the one door that cannot be closed by words or excuses, his subconscious. And do you know when this door is the most open? In the last hours of the day, when mental fatigue forces him to let go of control, when his conscious mind becomes weaker and only his inner world remains. Unresolved emotions, unspoken desires, hidden memories. This is the moment when you can enter with a carefully crafted message containing specific codes to touch his emotional memory, his unconscious sensitivity, his need for closeness, and his deepest vulnerability. Once this message falls inside, something will be activated in him, something that cannot be explained but can be felt. This something turns into a need to know how you are, to find you, to have you near him, at least in thought, to dream of you. But for this message to work, you must stop acting out of lack. No more messages from the wound, from fear, or from desperation to keep him. Because he feels all of that, even if the words are perfect, if your energy is not in balance, if you send from pain and not from strength, his subconscious feels it. And instead of attracting him, you push him away. That is why, before I give you the exact message, you must understand one thing crystal clear. This process works only when you are centered in your power, in your highest feminine radiance. There, your words carry a completely different frequency. It's not about you wanting him back. It's about him feeling that he needs you. It's not that you call him. It's that he starts to seek you. This is not theory. It is reality. I will show you with real examples. Hundreds of women who were on the verge of giving up, who felt forgotten, who believed this man would never look at them again, have applied exactly this nightly message with the exact keys I give you today. And they awakened in him an attraction that seemed lost, a desire deeper than the physical, because here it is not only about the sexual, but about the emotional, the spiritual, about the memory of the soul that awakens when something in you resonates with something in him without him understanding it. That is exactly what we will achieve. But you must stay until the end, because in the next parts I will not only give you the message, but I will explain why it works, how to build it when to send it, with what intention, and which mistakes you must avoid if you truly want to achieve the effect I promise. If you apply all of this nightly message will not be just a simple text. It will be a key that opens the door to his unconscious desire. And once this door is open, there is no turning back. And if you want to understand why this nightly message has so much power, you must first grasp what happens in a man's mind when he is alone in the dark, when the outside world falls silent and only his breathing remains, his chaotic thoughts and those pauses he cannot fill. Because no matter how strong, busy, or distant he may appear to you, the night reveals a truth he himself cannot control. Everything he has not processed during the day rises to the surface. Exactly, in this mental space, you can plant an image, a memory, a feeling that connects him to you without him consciously choosing it. You do not have to be physically present, have a long conversation, or send a desperate message. You only have to learn to anchor yourself in his imagination, to touch an invisible string that ensures his thoughts go directly to you when he closes his eyes. You achieve this when you understand how his desire works. Not just the physical, but the deeper need to feel connected, inspired, fascinated, and emotionally moved by a woman who does not chase him, but leaves traces. A woman who does not need to convince him with words, but imprints herself in his subconscious like a whisper that cannot be erased. You can be that woman, and you must clearly recognize it. This message is not just any romantic text, not a motivational phrase, and not a hidden hint. It is designed according to the science of emotional language, the principles of subconscious psychology, and carried by feminine energy that moves with awareness. This is not manipulation, and this is presence. It is the art of occupying an emotional space without pushing, without overwhelming, but also without ever remaining unnoticed. Do you know why many women lose a man's attention? Because they keep repeating the same pattern. They write from emptiness, from fear, from "I need your answer to feel worthy." Even if they don't say it, the man feels it. Even unconsciously, he senses when a message comes from lack, and that doesn't excite him. It exhausts him. However, when a woman sends a message from mystery, from self-confidence, from a subtle but steady energy, something changes in him. He no longer feels someone is begging for his attention. He feels that something in him has been awakened that he didn't even know was sleeping. Here lies the key. A nightly message is more than a late-sent text. It is a symbolic act, a way to touch his subconscious at its most vulnerable moment, when he lowers his guard and becomes receptive to what enters his mind. In this moment, you can become his emotional anchor. You don't need to hear it from him. You will feel it, you will notice it, because the next day his attitude will be different. Because when the subconscious is activated by an intense emotional experience, it begins to create new connections. And if you are the trigger of this experience, his mind will seek more of you without understanding why. This is not just my claim. Studies in attachment psychology, the effect of nightly sensory stimuli, and how the male brain processes desire in threshold states like sleep or half-sleep all show this. In these moments, symbolism unfolds its greatest power. The right words, targeted pauses, emotional nuances that awaken archetypal memories, all this enters unfiltered. Exactly. There you become a presence he can no longer ignore. And so you understand this is not an empty promise. Listen closely. There are women who, after months of distance, silence, complete coldness, applied this method 7 nights in a row. And within a week, this man contacted them again, without any apparent reason. He sought conversation, asked questions in a tone he had not used in months. Why? Because his subconscious was touched, because true desire does not arise in the body, but in the mind. If you manage to be associated in his imagination with pleasant, mysterious, warm, and stimulating sensations right before falling asleep, you become a symbol. And no man forgets a woman who has marked him on this symbolic level. None, because what imprints itself in the subconscious becomes a need. And you can be this need if you use your words as energy, your intention as a compass, and your presence as an invisible trace that remains even when you are not there. And precisely in this difference between thinking and feeling lies the greatest mistake that many women unconsciously make. They believe that what convinces a man is what you say, what you explain, what you justify logically. But in truth, what binds him emotionally is not the rational content of a message, but the inner universe that this message opens in him, because a nighttime message is not just any text. It is an active presence in his subconscious, an opportunity to touch his intimacy without violating it, to show him that there is a feminine energy that knows him beyond words, body, and past. This message is not read with the eyes, but with the soul. And that is why it must come from a pure, powerful, magnetic place. If you write it from pain or from a wound, you only send fear disguised as affection, and the male soul is. And even if he does not say it, he feels it, rejects it, and closes itself. You are not here to close something in him. You are here to open a door for him that he did not even know he wanted to walk through. For this there is a golden rule. Your message must carry no expectation. It must arise like an energetic gift, not like a trap to force a response. If you let it go like this, without fear, something extraordinary happens in him. Suddenly, he feels a strange restlessness, a sweet nostalgia, a quiet but persistent need to hear from you. He does not understand why, no logic explains it, but he thinks of you. And that is exactly what changes the game, because a man does not come back when you call him. He comes back when you awaken him. This awakening is not physical, but emotional, symbolic. And it often happens at night when his rational mind sleeps, his defenses fall, and memories and feelings appear unfiltered. That is where you must enter. Not as an ex, not as a woman among many, but as a presence that uplifts him, as a mystery that soothes him, as an energy that is irreplaceable. How do you achieve that? With a message that does not tell him what you feel, but makes him feel who you are. Not with phrases or cliches, but with words from your deepest authenticity. Sometimes a single line is enough, evoking an image, a feeling, a shared moment, spoken from such a pure place that it goes straight to the heart without detouring. Through the mind. If he senses you want to manipulate, he leaves. But if he senses that you have simply appeared with your truth, without demanding, without expecting, then he does not know why, but he wants more. Because men dream too. They too have unspoken longings. They too seek a woman who not only loves, but understands, who can be there without pushing, who says much with little, who steps into her silence and leaves a shining trace there. That is exactly what you will learn if you follow this path. Here I want to tell you about Amelia, a 48-year-old woman who had no contact for 4 months with the man she considered the love of her life. She had tried everything: calls, long messages, even a letter without reply. She was about to give up, but when I showed her this technique of the nighttime message, something in her changed. For the first time, she no longer wrote from the wound, but from her strength. I helped her find an intimate image, a scene he had never forgotten, and we turned it into a short, poetic message. Last night, I thought of the coffee that got cold, but I never lost the warmth of your gaze. She sent it without expecting a reply. 3 days later, he wrote, "Why have you suddenly come back into my mind without warning? I couldn't sleep. I dreamed of you." That was the beginning of a conversation that brought them back together, not from the past, but on a new level. And the crucial thing is not just the story, but the principle. The message worked because it was not an ordinary text, but a gesture of deep connection, and you can do the same. But first you must dissolve within yourself every urgency to control, every need for him to choose you to validate your worth. Because you do not need his choice. You are already chosen by life, by God, by your own growth. If you write from there, from the certainty that your presence is enough, then your words will not only be read, they will be felt. And there is nothing more powerful than that. That is why I will show you in the next part how to build such a message, with practical examples of how to choose the right words and activate in him exactly those inner symbols that awaken his unconscious. Desire. Because yes, there is a technique, but beyond the technique, there is a level of energy and consciousness that changes everything. When we talk about awakening a man's unconscious desire, it is not about simply writing something nice or finding a romantic phrase that sounds like it is from a movie. It's about triggering an inner reaction, an emotional impulse that arises without permission, without filter, and without defense. A feeling that touches him in a place where he does not even know he carries his emptiness. To achieve this, the message must be built like a key that opens his symbolic universe, that touches the invisible strings that make him human, vulnerable, nostalgic, and full of desire for something he cannot put into words. The message must not say, "I miss you." It must make him feel that there is an emptiness that moves him. It must not say, "I love you." It must make him feel that there is a warmth that embraces him even in his loneliness. It must demand nothing. It must plant something in him. To achieve this, you must know how the male subconscious works. It works with symbols, images, and primary emotions. 3 types of symbols awaken unconscious desire in a man without him being able to control it. The symbol of intimate complicity, something only the two of you know. A shared scene, a shared phrase, a nickname, a place, a taste, a smell, a gesture. If you bring up this symbol in your message, you awaken in him a sense of belonging and remind him that he experienced something unique with you. The symbol of the unfinished. A conversation that remained open, a moment that was never healed, an unspoken word. If you gently mention it, not to reproach but to honor what was lived, you touch an emotional wound that he has quietly kept. This creates a deep need to close that circle, to understand, to return. The symbol of projected desire. Speak to him from a possible future moment. Evoke a scene you have not yet experienced, but that could be, not as a promise, but as a hint. This awakens his imagination and connects him to the possibility of something that is still alive. An example: Teresa, 56, told me that her ex-partner was emotionally very distant, yet physically very passionate. She felt forgotten, invisible, convinced that he already had someone else. I asked her to write a message that did not speak about herself and her feelings, but about something that reminded him. We formulated, "Today I walked past the street where you laughed like a child when you fell off your bike. Couldn't help but smile." This message demanded nothing, explained nothing, requested nothing. It only evoked, only hinted, only opened a door. 2 hours later, he replied, "Didn't know you still remembered that. I happened to think of you today." That was enough to awaken an energy that had been sleeping for months. Do you understand? It's not about loudly proclaiming your presence, but whispering it so truthfully that he cannot ignore it. It's not about convincing him, but awakening an emotional memory that draws him to you without resistance. And for that, you must write from your strongest, most magnetic energy, mature femininity, which needs no validation, does not compete, does not demean itself, does not dramatize, but observes, feels, inspires. This energy does not seek quick answers, it seeks deep impact. When you learn to hold yourself in it, the vibration of your words changes. They are no longer just letters. They become vibrations that enter his body, slip into his dreams, create a sweet restlessness that leads him to you. Not because you pushed him, but because you touched him, and it is precisely this touch that awakens unconscious desire. Not because he decides to want you, but because his soul begins to call for you without understanding why. You awaken him from a subtle, elegant spiritual place. From your maturity, your strength, your stillness. That is why in the next part, I will show you how to connect with this energy before you write a single word. Because if you don't write from there, your message will not have the effect you desire. The inner preparation is more important than the outer content, because you are not writing for him to read you. You are writing for him to feel you, and that changes everything. So before you send that nighttime message meant to touch him from his subconscious, you must first awaken yourself. You cannot touch his soul if your own is closed, hurt, or bitter. You cannot create desire if you are exhausted, afraid, or waiting for validation. The energy with which you write is more powerful than the words themselves. That is why before you touch the keyboard, you must first touch your truth. Return to your body, to your center, to your heart. Free yourself from any intentions clouded by control, desperation, or neediness. Because when a woman writes from emptiness, she transmits emptiness. But if she writes from fullness, even a single word can change an entire story. True transformation begins not with what you say, but with how you arrive there. A magnetic woman does not expect him to give her security. She becomes secure herself and writes from that certainty. A magnetic woman does not need to manipulate. She trusts so deeply in her own radiance that she knows her presence is enough. A magnetic woman does not chase anyone. She walks her own path and leaves traces that others follow willingly. The key lies in the moment you decide to write. The night is not just a time of day. It is an energetic state. It is the time when the mind lowers its guard, the soul opens, and memories work more intensely. When the male subconscious is especially receptive to emotions, when senses awaken and loneliness feels heavier. That's why it's not just about writing at night, but about connecting with your nocturnal feminine energy, the one that does not shout but whispers, does not demand but calls, does not force but summons. Before you write, turn off the light. Light a candle. Play music that connects you with the delicate, the mysterious, the beautiful. Breathe deeply. Feel your body. Remember who you are. Be grateful for what you have lived. Enter the alpha state, that transition between wakefulness and sleep, where the spiritual becomes tangible. Write from there, not from the head, but from the belly. From the wisdom of your body, from a mature love that does not seek to control, but to free. Many women tell me, Nilda, but if I feel broken inside, how can I write from fullness? My answer, you don't have to be perfect to be powerful. Even your wound can be your channel. Your sadness can be your beauty, your vulnerability, your magnetism. The difference lies in the intention. Do you write to demand or to share? Do you write to ask or to sow? Do you write from the ego that wants to control or from the soul that wishes to express itself? A woman who has truly cried, truly loved, truly lost, and yet still believes in love, has a strength no man can ignore. Because this strength does not attack, it envelops. It does not push, it attracts. It does not cling, it inspires. And it is precisely this inspiration that makes him dream of you, think of you, miss you, even if he doesn't know why. Remember the case of Enz, 59 years old. She wrote to me in despair because her partner had withdrawn without explanation after 5 years together. She had tried everything, messages, letters, hints, silence. Nothing worked until we went through this process together. She reconnected. With her energy, wrote a single simple sentence from her center and sent it at night. I dreamed that you came back. But it wasn't a dream. This sentence was not logical, but it had soul. It asked for nothing, blamed nothing, reminded of nothing. It only hinted, only evoked an inner image. And exactly that image immediately triggered a response. Why did you write that today of all days? Last night I dreamed of you for the first time since our breakup. See, when you are connected, your words reach places you yourself do not know. And that is more powerful than any strategy. That is why, in the next part, we will build together the 3 types of nighttime messages that awaken his unconscious desire: the evocative, the symbolic, and the projective. But before we write them, make sure you have done this energetic preparation. If not, you are only sending a message from your head. The message that awakens his desire, however, does not come from your head. It comes from your soul. And now, with your energy in harmony and your soul having opened the right door, comes the decisive moment of this process, creating the nightly message that, without him realizing it, begins to work directly on his unconscious desire. This is not about writing what he wants to read, but about planting in his subconscious a picture, a feeling, or a sensation that will accompany him as he falls asleep and make him wake up in the morning searching. Because, while the body rests, the subconscious continues to work. A well-crafted, deeply felt message sent at the right time can slip into his dreams like a persistent whisper, something he cannot get out of his head. That is why we work with 3 types of messages that act in different ways, but have the same goal: to penetrate his emotional field without arousing resistance, without confronting, without overwhelming. You will not tell him that you miss him. You will not ask him if he thinks of you. You will not remind him of what was lost. You speak in another language, the symbolic language of the subconscious. The first type of message is the evocative message. It works because it speaks neither directly about you nor about him, but conveys an image or a scene that evokes a shared emotional memory. The male subconscious does not respond to rational arguments, but to sensations that connect him with moments when he felt seen, desired, or at peace. Example: a woman told me that after weeks without contact, she wrote to her ex, "Today, I passed by the place where you laughed so much about that stray dog. Nothing more, no 'I miss you', no 'come back', no request." Yet this image was enough to awaken a physical memory in him. The next day he wrote, "I haven't thought of that in years. Strange that you remember it today. Why did it work?" Because evocative images open small cracks in the other person's mental defenses. They do not push, they let him feel. The second type of message is the symbolic message. It speaks directly to the subconscious through symbols, archetypes, or metaphors. Here, you do not describe a scene, but awaken an emotion with something abstract. Example: tonight, I saw a moon that seemed to be waiting for something, as if it knew something still had to happen. These words have no clear addressee, but touch deep levels. The moon, the nightly silence, the expectation, all of this speaks to the soul without the mind being able to block it. A 53-year-old woman told me that her ex, after such a message, said he could no longer look at the sky without thinking of her, without knowing why. That is the power of the symbol. It does not explain, but it awakens. It does not demand, but it calls. It does not say, but it leaves a trace. The third type of message is the projective message. It plays with the idea of the dream as a possibility. You plant a future image, as if it had already happened, as if his soul already knew it would happen. It is especially powerful because it evokes the feeling of a shared destiny, a connection that goes beyond logic. Example: I had such a strange dream. You were there, but different, happier, calmer, and you looked at me as if you knew everything would be fine. These words need no explanation. You let them work. The male subconscious then unconsciously seeks that version of himself you described. And often this search leads him back to you, because no one resists feeling understood at that depth. It is not about copying these examples. You must find your own message that comes from your genuine connection, not from a strategy. Write it when you are calm, when you expect nothing, when your intention is to sow and not to manipulate. Maybe write it first in your notes. Read it aloud to yourself. Feel if it truly represents you. And if yes, then send it. Do not check whether he has read it. Do not tense up waiting for an answer. Let it work. Because when you write from your mature feminine energy, you do not have to force anything. He will come. Because what is sown in, the subconscious sprouts in the body. And when this desire in him begins to stir, he will not know why. But he will feel that he must hear you, see you, dream you again. And the true key then does not lie in the quick response, but in holding exactly that vibration that made him start dreaming of you in the first place. And so the rule is, once you have sent this message and left it to the silence of the night, it is no longer your task to analyze, interpret every sign, or seek confirmation. Your task is to stay in the same energy from which you wrote, calm and confident, open. For the true power of this process lies not in the message itself, but in your ability to hold the vibration that created it. If you remain in this frequency, you will become a constant in his subconscious, quiet but present, like a melody that cannot be gotten out of one's head. And remember this is not a trick. This is a path. It is not about provoking a short reaction, but about awakening a feeling that has depth and endurance. A man can turn away from the message, but he cannot flee from what you have awakened in his soul. And so when his heart and mind begin to seek the source of this feeling, he will find it where you planted it, in you. And then you will not have to demand or explain anything. For what is born of genuine connection always finds its way back to its source.